Ben Bernanke is up to his old tricks again. The Fed chairman testified before the House Budget Committee today and defended the central bank's easy money policies and promised to maintain them. In response, silver rallied to new highs for the year and gold headed back toward $1,800 an ounce. The dollar, of course, continued to weaken. Here to put the brakes on this nonsense is a fierce critic of Chairman Bernanke, Florida Republican congressman and defender of sound money, Congressman Bill Posey. Congressman, what a pleasure. Welcome back to Freedom Watch.
Always a pleasure, Judge.
The chairman of the Federal Reserve would not rule out QE3, meaning he might go home tonight and start those printing presses rolling, meaning we might see a few $100 billion more flooding the marketplace in a few months. If he does that, what will happen?
Well, you know as good as me, it's going to put us further in a hole. He doesn't think that causes inflation, by the way. As you may or may not know, on my YouTube video site, he's telling me at one point that just printing money doesn't cause inflation because I plan to take it out of circulation before anybody really realizes it's in circulation to avoid a collapse. So if you need to print more money to put it somewhere to temporarily balance the sheets, wouldn't it cause a collapse when you withdraw it?
Right.
And at the same time, he's on the same site, you hear him say that if we were still in the gold standard, we would have never had this crisis. So on the one hand, you have evidence that there's a prudent way to handle our financial affairs, and on the other hand, you have what I consider to be an imprudent way to do it, and that's continuously to print more money.
You know, Congressman, he and his predecessors, and regrettably his successors, are like tyrants who cannot be controlled, who utterly want to control us through the banking system that they regulate. Are you and I going to be living with this for the rest of our lives? Or is the presidency of Ron Paul the only salvation we have, that we'll find out what the Fed does, and if we don't like it, we'll get rid of the Fed?
Well, as you well know, Congressman Paul's bill to audit the Fed, which I'm proud to have had a hand in crafting, by the way, was the most co-sponsored bill in the United States Congress during the last session. A lot of people don't know that. It's the most co-sponsored bill. The freshman class, the young bloods, the Chargers, the most principled people up here nominated that and unanimously voted that to be the best piece of legislation in the 111th Congress.
Right. And yet, the Republican leadership in the House, and I know you weren't in favor of this, caved to the president. And when the legislation came to a vote, that audit the Fed bill was not in there. The same Republican leadership, and I know you voted against them on this, that said to the president last August, you want another $2.4 trillion? Uncle Ben will print it for you, or you can go out into the markets and borrow it. Is this a hopeless cause, Congressman Posey? Are we forever going to have inflation and a weak dollar?
Well, if we don't change directions, Judge, we will. But, you know, I'm an optimist. My mother always said, you know, on Christmas, I would say there's got to be a pony around here somewhere if I stumbled into a pile of you-know-what. and I think the message is clear that the overwhelming majority of Americans understand we have a problem, and we have got to take the amphetamines away from the addicts. We've got to take this printing and spending away from the bureaucrats.
We only have a few seconds left. If it's down to Ron Paul and Mitt Romney, for whom would Congressman Posey vote?
Well, Congressman Posey has not taken a position in uncontested primaries. His consultant will fire Congressman Posey if he does. Most of the people who know me well know pretty much where I stand on that. And you know, we've had so many debates. Intelligent people get to see these candidates themselves. I mean, actually seen more of them than they wanted to in Florida.
Got it. Congressman, it's a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.